So President Cyril Ramaphosa is set to announce changes to the executive tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock. Bring that to you live, by the way, when it happens. Vacancies have been created in the executive because of the resignations, for example, of Ayanda Dlodlo, who was the Minister of Public Service and Administration. Deputy President David Mabuza also quit last week. Well, in addition to this, in a State of the Nation address, the President said that he would be appointing a minister seized with the load-shedding electricity crisis. To discuss this further, let's speak to political analyst Sysman Motloung. A very good evening to you, Mr. Motloung. Thankful for your time. So, the sense one got today listening to Vincent Magwenya, spokesperson for the presidency, was that the anxiety, the anticipation, the frustration with the lack of an announcement of a reconfigured cabinet by the president to date was a media-created, shall we say, crisis. Is he right?
Yeah, I think you can hear in their tone that they are trying to settle the dust. And what I think is happening here, I could side with him in that sense that this is a crisis engineered by the media in the rush to be the first, to issue a scoop. So because somebody heard that something was happening and then they were rushing to publish that, no, this is going to happen on a Thursday. It might have been scheduled that way and the presidency had not announced. But then because formally the presidency had not announced, we cannot say this was scheduled to be announced. So I would side with him that in the terms of formality, the presidency had not announced anything. Therefore, they are absolved to come up with any justification at this point.
But is it not too long a wait when you consider that the State of the Nation address was almost a month ago when the President announced the state of disaster declaration, this grand plan that would deal with, among the many crises facing this country, the issue of insufficient electricity to meet the needs of the country at every hour of the day? Should it not have happened already?
Definitely should have. Most people had also expected the President to announce his new cabinet before he presented the State of the Nation address. And then if he chose to do it after, maybe 2-3 days afterward, it could have been anticipated. But the long delay that has followed with this has led to this public crisis because there is that perception that things are not going well. It's a state of crisis. There is this minister who's announced to be appointed, but this is not happening. Irrespective of a crisis, a state of emergency being declared around the electricity issue, then who should be the principal for that kind of an intervention? The nation still does not know. I think the frustration on that side is what is putting pressure on him to announce as early as possible. But him delaying, I think many have been saying it is typical of him being a consultative person, an indecisive leader, and this shows when crisis is upon the nation and he's somehow missing in action. This is what I think characterizes his leadership at the moment.
But are people right to feel, as some do, that whether this announcement was made a month ago or tomorrow, it won't make any material difference to the lives of South Africans who are growingly frustrated with the government and losing faith that the ANC-led government can actually make real changes to their benefit?
I think at this moment, one would think if he had to wait so long, this announcement should be good. It should be justified. It has to be something, progressive in what he will announce, the kind of people he would choose. It has to be the caliber of people who will be visionary and who will be in that process of transforming society. And because of the historical experiences, the past experiences, be with him, be with Mr. Zuma, we've seen that most of the ministers that have been appointed have not had that ability to radically transform their departments. Therefore, it is that aspect of saying, why should you wait for so long when your appointment is not going to be really drastic, is not going to be significant? That is the lack of trust that the public is now expressing in the president. I think he will make good for it. He should make good for for this kind of a delay. Otherwise, it will be another disappointing announcement of a cabinet under the circumstances.
So if he's going to make a significant announcement tomorrow as far as, shall we say, wholesale changes to the cabinet perhaps, who should be in, who should be out in order for him to present the very best cabinet?
You know, Tembele, I, sitting here, cannot really think of what kind of a leader would be maybe impressive coming from the ranks of the ANC. It is mainly some people that have been spoken of in the public, the likes of Mr. Krele, Menkosazana Dlamini Zuma, Lindiwe Sisulu, somehow Pravin Gordhan recently, and Gwede Mantashe, as people somehow should be vacating office. And I think if there is any kind of a significant and an impressive appointment, there's that look around the likes of Pakstau coming through. Whether he will be a very visionary leader, it's still to be seen. Otherwise, my personal view as to who should be coming through, I would want him to show more confidence in young people, bring in more junior people who will be guided by your director generals somehow, because the ANC is at that phase of a generational transition. You don't want to delay this kind of succession planning when it is crucial at this moment to bring in people who could be innovative, but at the same time, people who could be introduced to the sector of a senior executive leadership, so that after the next year elections, you have a good crop of young people who will be in leadership for a long period. Because when you see at the cohort of the existing leaders now, these are old people who possibly, most of them would be ill in the coming years, or eventually they have to really vacate offices, like Matole, not Matole, Memotsecha. Memotsecha is somebody whom we're still thinking in terms of our education system. We don't see her really providing new ideas in leadership. So that is somebody I think should be leaving office at this moment.
But for the younger leaders in the ANC who may have ambitions to be appointed to cabinet, or who indeed become members of cabinet, become ministers, how much of a difference, how much room do they have to make changes or be as innovative, as they like, when you consider that they are there on a party mandate to basically implement party policies, a party that in its top rank and file is still dominated by people who are 50 and older?
Yeah, this is how I think is the paralysis in ANC leadership is showing. For example, the likes of Fikile Mbalula, as a Minister of Transport, we've seen him really being vibrant a little, but you seem to see him having more voice and more authority now in the capacity of a Secretary General than when he was a minister. You also see Mr. Mantashe saying there shouldn't be a radical transition in terms of our energy, in terms of abandoning coal altogether. You see there is that disagreement in the energy policy. Yet he's a minister. He is speaking only in the media, while you hear the president speaking a lot more about where things should be going. At the same time, you also hear the president saying he has no power to intervene in certain issues of governance. You want to think if our institutional arrangement is really disabling the ministers, or is it just for the sake of popularity, when they will be speaking on things that resonate more with the people, but genuinely they know that they have no political will to make those kind of changes. So for me, that's what I'm thinking, that even if you'd bring more young people, this kind of change, I think, when we look at South African policy, it is more gradual. People should not anticipate that this kind of a minister will come in and in the next year things will have changed significantly. Okay. It will be a slow onset change. Therefore, that's why I'm advocating for more young people to come into that fray at the moment.
Sysman Motloung, political analyst, good to speak to you. Thank you.